What scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue? Redesigning the human sinus. I wish to find a way to modify the body to fix that mess of an airway. Have a baby human raised by apes. Basically to see if Tarzan scenario would occur and the human is able to communicate fully with the apes. That Doctor Who episode wherein they bred artificially grown humans. Infect them each with all known diseases so that they can develop antibodies, cures. I'd raise a group of children from birth to adulthood. Kinda a Truman Show thing. Without any contact with music and see how it affects their lives and personalities. I'd make sure everything else would be normal but music would be edited out of their lives. Not necessarily a scientific experiment, but a series of experiments to see how you can control nerve sensations from the brain and whether YPU can create VR that can perfectly mimic the sensation of touch whilst being motionless. As if you're moving and touching something in a virtual world but not in the real world. Is that even possible? The Gilligan's Island experiment. Shipwreck 100 people with vastly different backgrounds, wealth disparity, and personalities on a remote island. See what kind of civilization grows from it. Then do it 50 more times to check results against each other. How would the world react to a mountain of 100 billion pennies for free in the middle of a major area? Oh man, I love this question. There are a ton of geoengineering experiments that I'd love to run if they weren't both 1. Illegal, 2. Insanely expensive, 3. Non-zero possibility of death and destruction, iron fertilization, basically dumping tons of iron dust into the ocean to cause an algae bloom, which should sequester a bunch of carbon and help mitigate global warming, cloud seeding, space mirrors, dropping a nuke into a volcano. You know, normal stuff. How athletes from different sports react to fight or flight. Even further, would they fight differently than others? Dinosaur cloning. What else is there to do? Genetic altering of humans. I don't currently have an issue with anyone that wants to do it on themselves. However, to do it to an embryo or through the parent's DNA to see what we could do to advance humans would be amazing. Alterations to intelligence, memory, physical attributes, gills to swim underwater, visual alterations to see the full light spectrum and hearing for the full sound spectrum, immunity to all diseases and harmful bacteria, ability to eat almost anything for sustenance. See if a monkey tribe could become dominant over the rest by training them to make and use weapons and other primitive technology. Also interested in seeing if they would take their newfound knowledge and begin to expand an empire. I've always wanted to try to breed a winter blooming rose. Ethics are fine, but the cost of having that many roses in a hothouse and the decades of selective breeding most likely required to accomplish it would cost an astronomical amount. So I'm sticking with it. Near-death experiences, and what people see. So basically I'd want to kill a bunch of people then bring them back to life. I'm sure a lot of them wouldn't make it back. CRISPR the absolute fuck out of some kids and make some next-level humans that can run stupid fast and jump crazy high, then make the superhuman Olympics and figure out what humans are really capable of. Edit. Oh sit first gold. You and your offspring will be exempt from my CRISPR trials. I want to send someone to space without a spacesuit. I've read about everything that can happen. I just want to see it on film. How children develop when occasionally microdosing LSD. How long a decapitated head stays conscious. All we have are anecdotes that might have been exaggerated. I've always wanted a definitive answer, but you know, ethics. Brain transplants from humans to animals and vice versa. I will make 5 subjects of sane and healthy mind placed in a facility with 5 psychopaths, insane murderers. They will have group activities in a pair of 2 from each group and the activities will be of 2 types, moral and immoral. Then I will conduct results about how much these activities affect the subjects in both groups. Edit. They are not in a prison, they are just being volunteers. Prison is totally different scenario and the Stanford prison experiment had totally different outcomes. These group of 2 will go through a murder activity. But psychopaths are not allowed to murder their partner or anyone other in the experiment. I've actually thought a ton about this. I would put 2 people through the exact same conditions the entire life. Now I'm not talking just similar scenarios but everything from the weather inside the womb to the humans they interact with to the wind every day, and I would see if they are the same. Essentially, if humans are born with personalities or if we develop them through little things all our life. Essentially the butterfly effect. TBH, this probably wouldn't even be possible with infinite money, but it would be cool. Have an Olympics where every single athlete is drugged to an insane level. I think it would raise what is possible by today's standards drastically. Raise a child without ever punishing or rewarding them, just let them do whatever they want, and then see what happens to their behavior when they age. pretty much any vault tech experiment. I'd like to clone several sets of baby Hitlers and see how they grow up in different environments. Some can include 1. A loving family, the kind that you barf at because they're so perfect. 2. A Jewish family. 3. An artistic family that encourages his talent. 4. An abusive family similar to the one he grew up with. 5. A family of scientists. 6. And finally, the most unethical environment, a family of politicians. I'd love to pit elite Madden gamers versus NFL play callers and see who is better at game management and play calling. I'd run a serial killer contest. First person to successfully kidnap and kill 50 people receives $10 million 1 year after the last kill. If they are not caught by authorities and if they can prove the killings. How many persons would undertake this? How many victims would there be? I would breed and engineer dogs to become more intelligent. Until they can understand the concept of, I am coming back soon, don't worry. They deserve it for helping us get this far as a species. I'd train gorillas in weightlifting. Really see how tanked they can get. Boost them with steroids along the way. After that, I take my army of beasts, pump them full of cocaine, and let them loose in an empty shopping mall. Wanna see which stores they like and which ones they don't. You know, for science NSIT. Edit. I've had some fantastic input from you geniuses. To add, the gorillas will be trained in all beef-up exercises. Even though science is against me on this one, we're gonna throw some PCP in with the cocaine. Cybernetic hearts to handle the load of coke. Yada, yada, yada. Thought I had more on this. Oh. And the mall is empty because I'm not a freaking murderer. You guys, quit trying to kill everyone. Not all science is about death. Jeez. To measure the effect on development of humankind by eliminating the least intelligent 5% of the human population every year based on monthly standardized testing. Iron Man suit. Ethics don't even need to be ignored. I just really want a complete Iron Man suit with all the weapons. Flight in F-R-I-D-A-Y. Edit. You guys seem to be worried about how I'm going to power the suit. All Iron Man suits have an arc reactor built into the chest, even the Mk1. I asked for a suit, so I'm probably gonna make something similar to the arc reactor built into the chest. I've always been really curious what the results of the Holocaust twin experiments would be if they were run by a sane person. If I didn't have to worry about the fact that I was slaughtering a bunch of children, which very much goes against my morals. I'd recreate those. Put 100 babies from different countries on an island with a bunch of mute caretakers. Then see what their language would sound like. Put a baby in a pure white room at room temperature and find a way keep them alive with no human interference. What would they do for their whole life? I would try to raise mentats, Dune style. More specifically, I would take young children and subject them to an extremely demanding teaching and testing regime. Then I would use the results to try to find out, as early as possible, which children would fare better, and improve the quality of the teaching and conditioning, largely to make their first allegiance be to the school. After a few decades, I think that we might get a system to generate geniuses pretty much on demand, and naturally, the best of them would be tasked with leading and refining further the teaching. Which prescription drugs aren't really dangerous to mix with alcohol, and to what dosage can you be closest to death without dying so I can get litty? Throw 2 groups of toddlers, one boys and the other girls, on 2 separate islands. Provide them food via robots and not teach them anything regarding gender, sexuality, race, language, etc. And see how they develop, and never mention to them the opposite sex and have them be racially diverse too. It would answer so many questions regarding psychology. I.e., is sexual orientation a product of nature or nurture? Are humans born with innate gender roles? Are humans naturally tribal and or xenophobic? Etc. Edit. Thanks for the silver and gold. ITT. A couple of people confusing attraction towards the opposite sex with desire to procreate. Some gay people want to have kids too. Breed bears down to little pet-sized lap bears, maybe 50 pounds? Polar bears, black bears, grizzly, panda, you name it. Is it too much to ask to have my own little bear buddy? He would go everywhere with me, roll around, hang on my back, wear sunglasses, ride shotgun, hug me when I'm upset. The scientific community has failed us. We have pugs but no lap bears? Bullshit. I want to see if the same franchise of a restaurant chain in demographically similar areas would have differing amounts of profit based on whether they let the employees be mean to customers if they want. Stanford prison experiment, the size of the prison industrial complex. I'd like to know what people would really do for a Klondike bar. Honestly, I'd like to see to what degree humans could be bred for certain traits. Sheer size and strength. Being small and agile, think of the massive amount of variety in dog breeds and then transfer that to people. It could even be attempted for crazy stuff like temperament, inclination and instincts. Someone who's got crazy situational awareness because they come from a line of hunters whose lives are in danger at all times versus someone who was bred and raised to be a leader or something. People who grow tons of hair. Breed them together versus people with little to none. See what they look like in 200 generations. That, or, do whatever's necessary to figure out teleportation, and closed system ecosystems. And weird stuff regarding relativity and time. Real-life Hunger Games. What would happen if you stuck a group of sterile narcissists on an island and made them create a society without social media? What would the resulting hierarchy look like? How would they create a social structure? What rules would be dictated by them? How would they act around other people that would manipulate them as well? Soft target schools. To see whether a school where people are trained and have guns is safer or less targeted than a school that does not allow firearms. I don't know how it would be done, but someone had mentioned it to me and I've always wondered how you would test it. Reactivating ancient genes in living animals. We're bringing back mammoths through elephants, toothed dinosaurs through chickens, you name it. Let an animal from another species raise a human baby and see how it develops. I know that had one instance where wolves raised a kid. Pizza that has the nutritional value of a salad. How many shrimp do you have to eat before you make your skin turn pink? Segregate a small intelligent community from the rest of the world and make the community think they're on another planet. Then have them land on Earth and see how they interact. Throw newborns into the ocean until we get mermaids. The effects of marijuana use on people with pre-existing mental conditions, illnesses. I know there has been correlations in the past, but I would like some definitive research. Figure out immortality. See how much blood could be pumped into a boner in an attempt to achieve the largest erection ever before the shaft explodes. Solving the social part about autism. It's great, but to me, a light autistic kid, it's a straight kick to the balls socially. How to find out if a girl actually, for sure, 100% likes you back. Raise a child from birth on roller skates. Get a woman pregnant in space and see how a baby develops in zero gravity. I would say this would be very useful research. How many chicken nuggies I can fit in my stomach before I get kicked out of the McDonald's. A legitimate eugenics experiment not rooted in racism and actually rooted in breeding superior humans. I'd use CRISPR and all kinds of gene doping techniques. After all the poo-hoo-hooing is done, humanity will thank me for solving modern healthcare problems through genomic manipulation and ushering in the next era of human evolution. I'd also use those artificial wombs to mass clone, mass produce, and mass develop genetically modified embryos. I'd simultaneously pump billions into AI research so that the day-to-day responsibilities of running a society would be taken over by intelligent machines, which will free up precious time and energy that will go towards the eugenics cause. I would like to see a legitimate study on the effects of young and old blood being transferred into people of different ages. I've heard that young blood will reduce the effects of aging in old people, and I would like to see what would happen if an old person had a vast amount of blood and/or bone marrow transplanted from children. Super messed up in practice, but the results could literally lead us to a cure for aging. Genetic modification. I would do the classic idea for reality TV. Take 10 straight guys, make them all stay in a house together and tell them that they are 9 gay guys and one of them is a straight guy. If they can vote out the straight guy, whomever is left in the house gets to split $1. However, if the straight guy makes it to the top 3, he gets the $1 million. The fun twist being that they are all straight and think that they are the only straight guy. So now you have 10 straight guys, actively trying to act gay, probably horribly stereotypically. And cliché. The more manly and homophobic the guys are, the better the results. Give everyone in the world a minimum standard of living via universal basic income and see how society changes.